Al Capone was one of the most notorious gangsters of all time. His criminal organization earned billions bootlegging during Prohibition, and he used those illegal funds to purchase real estate all across the U.S. He bought a sprawling compound on Palm Island, Florida in 1928 for $40,000, and today that property is on the market for $12.95 million. Capone spent $70,000 adding security features to the estate and even planned various crimes there. Capone was eventually arrested for tax evasion, and he was sentenced to hard time in Alcatraz. After his release, he spent his final days at his Florida mansion as his health dramatically deteriorated. Here's a look at Capone's impressive Florida compound. You'll feel like a real gangster if you buy Capone's infamous Palm Island mansion. The stunning estate has been on the market for a while, and if you have $12.95 million lying around, it might be the perfect hideaway for you and your crew. $12.95 million is actually quite a steal because the property was previously listed at $14.9 million in 2018. Anybody would feel like a mafia don at this palatial palace, and the compound even has a few remnants from when Capone lived there. The mansion is located at 93 Palm Avenue in Miami Beach, Florida, and it was built way back in 1922. Capone bought the mansion in 1928 for a mere $40 grand. That's about $609,000 today when adjusted for inflation. For Capone, it was practically pennies. He likely made that much from liquor sales every day during the height of Prohibition. Sell some booze in Chicago and then buy a luxurious mansion down in Florida. Sounds like a sweet deal. Unfortunately, it was illegal at the time, and Capone had to outrun and outsmart coppers and the FBI at every turn. Capone's mansion is nestled along 100 feet of waterfront along Biscayne Bay. And just like Capone, you too could stare out into the crystal clear waters as you chomp on a stogie. Capone only lived at the mansion for a short time after he bought it, but he spent most of his retirement there following his release from Alcatraz. The first thing you'll notice as you walk onto Capone's compound is the elegant guest house. During the Capone era, this guest house was actually a gatehouse filled with armed guards. Today, the Tommy guns are replaced by houseplants. The spacious guest house features a two-door garage, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a living room that features a uniquely tiled fireplace. Capone made major renovations after he purchased the compound. He spent over $70,000 beefing up the compound with security. The inclusion of the gatehouse was one of the major additions to the compound. The infamous Mafia Don also added 7-foot-tall concrete walls along the lot line and searchlights around the 30,000-square-foot estate to keep out intruders. Capone also had a 2-story pool house built where guards stood watch and surveyed the entire area for rival gangs and undercover agents. After you pass through the guest house, you enter the beautiful Coral Rock Grotto, which is unchanged from when Capone owned the compound. Walk through the grotto and you will be at the steps of Capone's 2-story colonial-style main villa. The 6,000-square-foot main house has 4 bedrooms and 3 baths. One of the most unique rooms in the house is the black and gold Art Deco powder room, which was a holdover from when Capone owned the mansion. The villa has seen many renovations over the years, but some of Capone's unique touches still remain. 1920s ceiling lights, a vintage fireplace in the living room, and the porch all date back to when Capone lived in the mansion. Over the last decade, previous owners have spent more than $2 million renovating the property. Recent upgrades include French doors, hardwood floors, and open archways. Capone lived a life of excess. He always wanted the biggest and the best. That's why he opted to have a massive pool in his backyard. The 60-foot by 30-foot pool in Capone's compound was specifically built to the mob boss's specifications. The reason the pool is so large is that Capone didn't want anyone to have a pool larger than he did. The largest pool in the area at the time was at the Biltmore Hotel, and Capone wanted his pool to make the Biltmores look insignificant in comparison. The pool house is no longer filled with a cache of weapons. Instead, it has been tastefully redecorated to include modern conveniences. It features a terrace facing the bay and a half bath on the first level with 1 bedroom and a full bedroom on the second. Instead of watching for FBI agents, you can enjoy stunning views of the ocean. Capone's estate is pristine waterfront property. After you exit the pool house, you will arrive at the private dock and beach. The beach is 100 feet long and spans the entire waterfront. The dock allowed Capone to escape by boat if his compound was raided by the FBI or his enemies. Capone spent a lot of time here during retirement. He would spend hours sitting on the beach and often said it reminded him of the sunny shores of Italy. Capone's life at the mansion in the early days was hectic and fast-paced. He was trying to stay one step ahead of authorities and even planned some of the most heinous crimes at the Palm Island mansion. He reportedly planned the hit on 7 members of Chicago's North Side gang from the comfort of his Palm Island mansion, and once the dastardly deed was done, he took control of the entire Chicago underworld. When authorities questioned Capone about the hit, he used his Palm Island mansion as his alibi. How could he be involved if he was in Florida and not Chicago? Capone avoided prosecution for years, but he was eventually nailed for tax evasion. In 1931, Capone was convicted and sentenced to 11 years in prison. He spent 4.5 years in Alcatraz, and when he was finally released, he spent his retirement at his Palm Island mansion under constant watch by the FBI. He was no longer in control of his criminal outfit, and things got very bad for Capone after his release. During his final days, he was surrounded by his wife and immediate family. His wife also acted as his caretaker as Capone's mental state was quickly deteriorating. He often raved on about communists, foreigners, and criminal rivals who he was convinced were plotting to enact their revenge. He was suffering from dementia due to neurosyphilis and died in 1947 from a stroke. A few years later, Capone's wife sold the mansion to an undisclosed buyer. Even in death, Capone confines to fascinate. Some people even collect memorabilia relating to the infamous gangster. There was a huge sale of Capone memorabilia in 2013 that included 23 glossy photos from Capone's life. The photos were part of a huge collection of Capone memorabilia that was auctioned off by the New Hampshire auction house RR Auction that same year. The entire collection was sold for more than $50,000 and included a number of other rare artifacts relating to Capone's life and death. The entire collection, which was once owned by Capone's doctor, Dr. Kenneth Phillips, offered a detailed look into Capone's life, particularly in his final days. The collection included a lengthy letter to Dr. Phillips from Dr. Joseph Moore, a Baltimore syphilis specialist who was involved in Capone's treatment. In the letter, Moore suggests that Capone's family hire a male nurse posing as a chauffeur to protect the public from the gangster's violent outbursts caused by his dementia. Quote, "If by chance Mr. Capone makes an unprovoked attack upon a stranger, he is very likely to find himself in court for disturbing the peace and, as a result of that, to be recognized insane by the judge and to be committed to a Florida psychiatric hospital," Dr. Moore wrote in the letter. The collection also included Capone's medical records and death certificate. Capone lived a life of extremes. He spent a lot of his ill-gotten funds on fancy cars and fabulous homes, and a lot of Capone's money went missing when he was arrested. It's been estimated that Al Capone's net worth was $100 million at the height of his power, which equates to a cool $1.5 billion in today's dollars. Even in death, he spared no expense. Did you know that Capone was buried in a $2,000 bronze coffin, and his funeral featured thousands of dollars worth of floral arrangements? That's it, folks. Thanks for watching.